The Minnesota Vikings are currently 5-1, leading the division by 2.5 games. With the Cardinals and Commanders next on their schedule, if they can establish a 7-1 record, you'd have to think that the NFC North division would be theirs. It would almost be impossible for anyone else to come back and win that. The Vikings have done a good job this season of beating the teams they're supposed to. Doesn't really matter how they do it, they've done it. The Vikings are the best team in football in the last 4 minutes of the first half. They've been putting points on the board, setting up, Greg Joseph, their kicker, finding the end zone. Although the Vikings do have a very talented offense, there is a lot that they must improve coming off of their bye. For example, Kirk Cousins himself. He has an 88.7 passing rating, which is his lowest since becoming a full-time starter. Minnesota, they're going to have to pick up the efficiency. At least for Kirk. They are running the ball at 4.3 yards per carry, which is efficient. It's the same as last season. But they have 4 rushes over 15 yards. That puts them on pace for 12, which would be 13 lower than last season. Cousins, he hasn't been throwing the ball deep very often. He's always looking short. He's always looking medium. The Vikings, they definitely make up for the non-explosive run plays for just throwing it on early downs and basically using that as a run game. But I believe the Vikings truly do want to win the NFC and even go to the Super Bowl and win their first one, which would be great. I'd love for the Vikings did that. But they have to address some things offensively. I understand Kevin O'Connell, he's doing his things his way and they're trying to get comfortable. But you're not going to be able to beat any good teams playing this way. And that might be something that other Vikings fans, really don't agree with. But, Buffalo's coming up in Week 10. And then in Week 11, Dallas Cowboys. The Vikings, they haven't beat a single team over 500 besides the Dolphins, and Tua wasn't in that game. And I'm not discrediting the Vikings, man. They have a good team. They're going to have one of the best records in the NFL. They might even have the best record in the NFL. That's how good they are. But I'm always looking at the bigger picture here. How can the Vikings improve? It's not just the defense. It's the offense as well. Their average depth of target is down 2 full yards. Last season, they were taking deep shots a ton out of the play action. So if they can get a more explosive run game going, it's only going to lead to everything else just getting easier for them. But what's going on, guys? Swaggy, you're back. Today we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings and honestly why they will finish as the number 1 seed in the NFC. I'd say that they could, but I genuinely do believe that the Vikings will get the number 1 seed. Now remember back in, 2016, the Vikings, they started off 5-1 and then they finished 8-8. That is not this type of team. I can promise you the Vikings will not finish 8-8. This is a talented team. They've got so many good players on both sides of the football that we're about to dive into. So if you guys haven't already, though, hit the like button for the algorithm. Subscribe if you're new. You can catch me over as well at Daily Vikings, my brand new channel. Once that is going, which it pretty much already is, but I'm going to be uploading on that just about daily. I mean, Daily Vikings is in the name here, but the Vikings is a team that I really did want to cover coming into the year. And it took me a few weeks to get into it, but they truly do have a good team. And the defense has stepped up. I honestly think the defense is very promising. And something that's in favor of the Vikings is that 7 of the team's final 11 quarterbacks that they're facing are just not that great. Taylor Heineke, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Jared Goff, Sam Ehlinger, my team's quarterback. Wow, okay, it's true. But Daniel Jones, Justin Fields. Now, give or take, they do face Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, and Kyler Murray. But the Cardinals have not had a good passing offense the entire season. Even with D-Hop, if you take him out, you're fine. Josh Allen, there's nothing I can say that would be against him. It's Josh freaking Allen. I mean, he's unstoppable. It doesn't matter what you do. He's unstoppable. Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, you're not really concerned with that, right? Dak's good, but you're not telling me that the Cowboys are on a different talent level than the Vikings. I think the Vikings are a better team. So the Vikings have that going. But also, they have something else going as well, and that's star players. The Vikings have several star players on their defense. Dalvin Tomlinson, you talk about a guy that can get to the quarterback. 2 sacks and 15 pressures as a defensive lineman. He is honestly just a menace out there on the interior. Unbelievable player. Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith, of course, edge rushing. And Hunter last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago against the Dolphins, he had a sack and 6 pressures. It was his breakout game this season. He's one of the best players in the league. He's super athletic. He's almost a freak, and I mean that in a good way. And, of course, the inside linebackers for the Vikings, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks and these boys, I mean, I would say it's like, I don't know if average is the right way, but solid, I guess. It's solid. It's a solid unit. The corner situation, the Vikings actually have like pretty solid corners. They definitely need to improve in the slot though. So who's their slot corner? It's Chandon Sullivan, right? Yeah, Chandon Sullivan has not been very good this season. Like, okay, he's been trash. He's been trash this season. So they definitely need to address that. The safeties, basically, you're seeing a common occurrence here. It's solid, right? The safeties, you've got Harrison Smith, you've got Lewis, Seen, Cameron Bynum. The Vikings, they don't have the best of defense. And honestly, I'm trying to find the ranks of their defense. So I know I wrote this down. Come on, Swaggy, you got to have this down. There we go. 12th in points allowed and 27th in yards allowed. So there is a trend in the right direction here. Play through your stars. And the key for the Vikings is going to be the offense, guys. Like, this offense is going to be under a ton of pressure. I'm not saying that the defense won't be able to get off the field and won't get stops. Like, this Vikings team can force turnovers and can make plays. It's only going to improve, but they do need to be putting up points on the board, especially against Dallas, especially against Buffalo and these top teams, Packers. And it's just going to come down to really Justin Jefferson. Now, Justin Jefferson is on pace to be the greatest wide receiver of all time. I mean, he had another 100-yard game in Week 6 over the Dolphins. Entering Week 8, he has the most yards per game for a wide receiver in the history of football. Jefferson, he's averaging 94.1 yards per game, which puts him ahead of Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson. He has the third most 100-yard games through 3 seasons, dating back to 1950. And Randy Moss, Odell, who both have 19, they're ahead of him. Jefferson, he's got 11 more games to set that record. So he's only 23 years old. I mean, Justin Jefferson, you really can't say enough about him. He can line up anywhere on the field. He runs routes exceptionally well. He's honestly just unstoppable one-on-one. There aren't many players in football right now that, for receivers that simply just, you need to double them. And the thing about Justin Jefferson is you don't know where he's going to line up, right? Like, I know the Vikings are not using motion as much as they were last season. I think it was over 4%, nearly 5%. It was like 4.5 or something percent less. So they're not creating as much mismatches as last season, but at the same time, the philosophy of the offense is exceptional. It's really difficult. Kevin O'Connell deserves a lot of credit. I actually like Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's an elite level quarterback. He needs to play better. If the Vikings want to win the Super Bowl, which they do, Kirk has to play better. The whole team has to play better. It's not Kirk, right? Kirk does need to play better, but also they need to be a more complete team. They can't just be good in the first half or the second half. They do need to start playing better in the secondary, and they're going to be tested against Kyler Murray. Like I said, the Cardinals do not have a good passing offense. I mean, they have D-Hop there, but this is the type of week where they need to shut down the Cardinals. And Kyler's an amazing quarterback. People forget, he was the number 1 pick, obviously, but people do forget, Kyler Murray is a very good quarterback. I don't know if he's an elite level quarterback, but, if Kirk's not elite, Kyler's not. But this is a really good game for the Vikings. It's an amazing matchup. Not only do the Cardinals struggle to throw the ball, but they struggle to defend the pass, something that the Vikings are doing this season, better than almost anyone. And the Cardinals are 29th in pass defense. So Justin Jefferson, he's probably going to put up over 150 yards in this game. I wouldn't be surprised, at least over 100 at the bare minimum. And this is a game where you really need to pay attention to because the Cardinals are under 500, but at the same time, the Vikings need to win these games. The reason why the Vikings are 5-1 is because they've beaten every team that they're supposed to beat. And that game against the Eagles, I know that it's like, oh, we lost to the Eagles. It was a road game against an Eagles team that's 6-0. So eventually the Vikings will meet the Eagles again. And as long as they win that one, then that's what matters, right? Because if they meet again, it's going to be in the playoffs. So I personally do believe that the Minnesota Vikings will be the number 1 seed. And trust me, I love the Eagles. I said that the Eagles were our dark horse Super Bowl contender. I have the videos to back it up. Just type in Swag Eagles. You can find everything I had to say about why they win the division, etc. The Eagles are great. But I'm telling you guys right now, the Minnesota Vikings have something special going on here. And eventually, I just feel Kirk Cousins is really going to start to click once he learns the scheme and things like that. And once he starts throwing it down the field more, and once the Vikings can generate more explosive run plays, the defense steps up. Because the Vikings have a good defensive line. They've got a good edge rush. It's just the linebackers, right? The linebackers, the safeties, and the secondary. Like, can everyone really be better? And the Vikings, what I say, they were 12th in points allowed. So the defense is improving, but I need to see it improve even more, right? Because if the Vikings continue to get better, they're already 5-1. I can't wait to see them take on the Bills and take on the Cowboys. But this is not the 2016 Vikings. This is the 2022, 2023 Vikings, and big things are ahead for this team. They're going to be dangerous. I cannot wait, guys. But it's your boy Swaggy. If you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. I'd love to have you. I post Vikings videos all the time here on the channel. So if that's your type of content, you've come to the right place. And I'll see you guys in the next one.